വ്യവസായം എന്ന വിഷയത്തെക്കുറിച്ച് സംസാരിക്കുവാനായി അടുത്തതായുള്ളത് സംരംഭകയായ ശ്രീ ചന്ദ്രവദനയാണ്.
Social entrepreneur, coach, academician, author, voice artist and many more. She is the first Indian women winner of the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development Women in Business Award for social entrepreneurship on skill development of women and girls. Fellow of International Visitor Leadership Program by US Government. Welcoming with great pleasure and honor to the prestigious 88th Sivagiri THEERTHADANAM to embellish the conference of industry with her insights on women entrepreneurship. Founder and Director, Prana Collective, Prana Labs, She Said Magazine, Dr. Chandravadhana R.
Namaskaram. Firstly, thank you so much Sivagiri TV as well as this year's Sivagiri THEERTHADANAM for choosing me to speak to you today about a very, very significant topic that will decide the future of not just our country but also the world. I am Dr. Chandravadhana and I run an organization called Prana. Prana Collective is actually a unique ecosystem for women entrepreneurship and employability support. This organization was formed 3 years back by me based on the challenges as well as the situations that I underwent as an entrepreneur, deciding to set up my own business after working for some time. Being in India, being in Kerala, and being a part of the societal expectations, it has been quite challenging for me despite having all the qualifications and other things. So this led me thinking, why do our women face so much of difficulties and how can I solve it? That actually led to Prana. To talk about women entrepreneurship and why women do not enter into business in our country especially, I should also give you some statistics. You will be surprised to know that India is ranked currently 52 out of 57 countries in terms of women entrepreneurship by one of the surveys conducted by Mastercard. Other than that, there are several indexes which is also not so bright when it comes to India. For example, the Global Gender Gap Index, which ranks India as 112, which is very, very poor in terms of the gender opportunities that India has got. So all these factors, all the so-called not so good statistics is something which we have to work upon in the coming years as well as in the coming decade so that we can ensure a gender equal as well as we can also utilize the 100% potentials of women in our country. So with this background, what I thought is I will talk to you today about 10 different ideas and perspectives which is important when it comes to women entrepreneurship. What are the major challenges that women entrepreneurs in our country face and how probably we can actually solve it with the help of all the ecosystem, support system that we can give them. So I'll be going one by one. I'll be trying to explain each of the challenge and the possible solutions. Let me start with the first challenge. The first and foremost challenge what I find when it comes to women entrepreneurs or entrepreneurship as such is the inability to decide or choose what business I should be doing. I think this starts with the woman herself. Firstly, most of the women right from childhood have been taught or rather have been conditioned to accept the decisions made by others in her family. For example, as a young girl or as a teenager or a young adult, most of the girls are expected to listen to their parents and accept whatever is their decision when it comes to their career choice or their marriage choice or anything like that. So most of the decision making has been taken by others in the family, whereas the girl is expected to accept that decisions. Now this actually leads her to be, I would say, unable to take a lot of decisions when it comes to herself as well as her preferences as well as her choices in business. Not just in business, I would say generally in career choices itself. Secondly, this lack of decision making skill actually percolates to a larger extent, and when she actually enters into business, again the difficult situations, whenever there is a difficult situations coming in, she is expected to act or rather take decisions as per everybody else's consent. Now this again is a challenge. So I would say how to overcome these challenges, number one is to empower the woman in the ability to take decision for herself. Now taking decisions of course comes with a lot of responsibility, and it is not an easy thing. When you take a when you decide this is the business that you want to do, or this is what I want to do in my life, of course there will be a lot of challenges that is associated with it, and a lot of hard work and efforts are required to achieve it. So the solution is definitely equipping yourself to work towards the decisions that you want to make in your life and persisting with it. So that is the number one point. Inability to take decisions, and how you can overcome it is keeping on going ahead, make more and more decisions, take ownership of your decisions. So that was the challenge number one. Now I'm going to the challenge number two that most of the women entrepreneurs in our country face, and that is the general societal expectations and the gender stereotyping that we face. So once a woman actually decides that I want to enter into business or any career for that matter, the second expectation is that she falls into the norms of the society, which means as a woman you are expected to enter into certain types of positions or profiles or business which is more suitable for a woman. If you are falling out of that bracket, you automatically have to face more and more difficulties. So that is why we don't find too many women entrepreneurs in the so-called male domains or male industry domains. We tend to have more women in the typical women stereotypical domains like food, fashion and beauty and these areas. I think that also needs to be broken. That stereotypes also needs to be broken, and we need more women in all segments of industry and businesses. So how do we overcome that? Of course, this challenge is I would say it's not something which can be overcome in a very easy manner, but it takes years and decades, I would say centuries of gender stereotyping that needs to be unconditioned, or rather it has to be removed, and we have to come out with a lot of societal transformation in order to overcome these stereotypes. But yes, of course, as a woman, what you can do is to understand that whenever you are being subjected to stereotypes, you can raise your voice, or you can even think for yourself whether you are taking a decision based on stereotype or are you really passionate about it. For example, in our organization there are many women entrepreneurs who come up and say that I want to start a food business. Okay, very commonly easy to start business, I would say. But the next question is what type of food business? Then they come out with I want to start a cake baking business. Now the third question is, do you really like to bake a cake? That is very important. I mean, are you really passionate about baking cake? Because that matters. Most of the time women actually enter into cake baking because probably their friend does it and they found it, they are making good money out of it. Or maybe they saw that they saw a lot of YouTube videos and they found that making cakes are interesting, so that's why they enter into it. So don't do that. Enter into a particular business if you are really passionate and if you are well knowledgeable in that area, right? You need not conform to general gender stereotypical expectations out of a women entrepreneur. So that is point number 2 which I wanted to convey today. Now that leads to point number 3. Most of the time after you decide that you want to do a particular business, then you enter into a particular business, you decide that okay, I want to start a cake baking unit. Excellent, well and good. You chose that because you are passionate about it. You are not. You decided not to, not because everybody else told you to bake cake. You decided that you wanted to do it because you love, baking cakes. Excellent, well and good. Now let's go into the third aspect, which is the skills and the competency development. And this is where I would say most of the entrepreneurs or most of the business people, they are not able to manage their competency building along with their busy schedule. But unless an entrepreneur puts in efforts and unless an entrepreneur continuously upgrades and continuously keeps on learning things, the growth of the business will not happen. So skill building and competency development, any business, be it baking cakes, be it making garments, be it working on a technology platform or a tech startup, whatever is it, an entrepreneur has to continuously keep on learning things and upgrading her skill sets and competencies. How do we do this? How do we upgrade ourselves? Of course, for which thankfully I would say we have a lot of opportunities outside in the click of a button. We have a lot of online platforms. We have a lot of educational platforms which are available, providing free resources and free training and webinars and whatnot. So utilize all of them and try to upgrade your skill sets and competencies. Never stay behind in any aspect, because what I have understood being an entrepreneur is that maybe in the initial stages you may be very good at cake baking and you are working towards building a business on cake baking. What happens next is that you as an entrepreneur, you cannot survive with just baking cakes. You need to know how to package it, you need to know how to photograph it, you need to know how to brand it, how to market it, how to sell it, and probably how to how to price it. Everything is very, very technical, as well as business aspects has to be learned, for which of course there are a lot of opportunities outside in the internet world. Just go ahead and keep yourselves updated. So that is point number 3. Now coming to point number 4. Now this is a very interesting question. I think most of the time even I get asked this question: how do you balance your family and your business? Now this question is not mostly asked to male entrepreneurs, it is mostly asked to women entrepreneurs. Why? Because women even right now tend to, or rather women do manage, or rather I would say keep the first priority for their family when it comes to even the business and managing other things. So as a women entrepreneur, most of the times I find that when I deal with a lot of other entrepreneurs, I find that they have issues when it comes to balancing their family life. When you have small children, when you have ailing parents at home, all this actually are an extra burden on the women, I would say, or extra, I don't want to use the word burden, but an extra it leads to some kind of stress on the women entrepreneur. But I would say these are, I would say, a part of life, and accept it. And you've chosen to become an entrepreneur, and all this aspects has to be managed rather than ignored. So how do we manage it? Number one, I would say you have to equip and empower your family members. You have to equip and empower your kids, your husband, your everybody, people around, that you have chosen this is your career, or this is your life, and you have chosen this particular way of life, and this involves lot of hectic schedules, and you may have to travel, you may have to work or late, and sometimes you may come home late. All this can be can lead to little difficulty among your family members. All this can be little stressful for even the family members, but always communicate and express your long-term visions, your ideas, your why you are doing this, and it's all about communicating with them, and also secondly making them handle their own household chores and other things by themselves. So basically it's all about equipping your family members to support you in your visions and dreams. I know it is never an easy task. It is definitely quite challenging. Sometimes it takes away a lot of our mental resources. when especially women also face something called the career guilt. You know, when you are actually pursuing something which if you are very ambitious and you are pursuing something, people around, including your family members, may create a guilt in your mind. So that is something which I would say even people watching this program should understand, that a girl or a woman, when she is born and when she is getting educated and when she is getting exposed and when she is having her own dreams, let us not boggle her down with the heavyweight burdens of the expectations and the so-called guilt creation. That is something which as a society we have to take care. So that's about point number 4. Now let me take you to point number 5, which I wanted to discuss today. Most of the women entrepreneurs have a difficulty with this point, but the moment they overcome this one, I would say their business can flourish a lot, and that is nothing other than networking. Networking is a skill which I would say every women entrepreneur must be adept at, and I think women are very generally good at it. Women are generally, they are good at connecting with people and interacting and sharing, or rather, building family networks. They are very good at it. So when it comes to business networking, professional networking, sometimes women do not have that kind of a professional networking skill sets. That is something which you will have to learn and develop for yourself, not just for yourself, but for the longer view or the vision of your company. It is important that you build a large network of people who can not just bring in business but also be well-wishers for your organization. So let's take the case of the cake baking unit by a lady. Of course, you initially maybe you will make some cakes and you sell it across your family and friends, but nobody is going to eat cake every day. So unless if you want to actually grow your cake baking business, obviously you will have to have a wider network. You will have to build a customer base, so that whenever there is a birthday party in any of those customer circle, they actually contact you. So this requires a lot of skill sets, which includes, in today's world, of course, digital skill sets. You will need to handle technology. You will need to use the social media and other technological ways of connecting with people. So networking today, I would say, is quite easy compared to maybe 10 years back. Those days, the only options for networking was going for conferences and events organized by big organizations. And one of the challenge again with those organizing those meets is that most of the time those events and meets were happening in the evening time, which women were very reluctant to even go out of the house after 6, right? So those are the challenges. But right now things have evolved, and thankfully we have social media, we have different kinds of professional networking forums with which I think women can also network with any kind of person at any time. So use your network wisely. The more you network, the net worth actually increases. Your network is your net worth. So try improving your network. The next point which I wanted to discuss when it comes to women entrepreneurship in India is a very serious point, which is the access to funding, access to capital. I think in our country, less than 5% of women entrepreneurs get VC funded or the so-called heavy funding. Most of the funding currently happens through small and medium enterprises. Especially if you look at the entire genre of women entrepreneurship in the country, it will be mostly in the SME category, small and medium enterprises. And when it comes to small and medium enterprises itself, the kind of funding is limited, and it is more of debt funding than equity or other kinds of funding. Now, when you talk about debt, of course, most of the women, first they go to the gold which they have. The second, they will go to the bank or microfinances. Of course, there are a lot of microfinances which is supporting women entrepreneurs. And these are the two types of funding which generally women entrepreneurs approach. Very rarely or very few number of women entrepreneurs actually go into the angel or VC funding kind of system. But of course it is changing. The statistics are definitely improving. However, it is still less than 5 to 6% of funding in the whole country which is actually going to the women entrepreneurs. So this scenario has also to change, and one way to change is definitely having more women entrepreneurs into the ecosystem, into the startup ecosystem, where you have more of disruptive and fast scalable enterprises coming in than the small and medium linear kind of enterprises. So access to funding is even now a key challenge, for which if you ask me, is there any big solution? Well, the solution could be different from multifold. In fact, creating more awareness about women entrepreneurship and the need for funding is something which media and everybody needs to talk about this, so that probably we will have more women investors, more women valuators and other people into the board of these ecosystems. In fact, even right now in many incubators, we don't have that many women leaders or mentors on board, who can actually advise and select more of women startups for getting funded. So that is also another challenge. So it's a comprehensive systemic improvement that we have to do when it comes to access to funding. Of course, despite all that, I have to also mention that there are different funding options right now when it comes to the generic funding, which is the debt funding. For example, as I said, a lot of microfinances are available, a lot of funding, a lot of other funding options like bank loans and various schemes which are announced from government from time to time. However, the issue with all this funding is that many of them ask for collaterals, properties or gold or similar kinds of collaterals, which is even now a difficult proposition, because many women do not have property in their names, and even if they have, they are not allowed by the family members to go and pledge it. So collateral free idea based funding schemes are something which is very important, and I would like to mention the fact that the India government's Mudra scheme is one such scheme which has actually helped a lot of women entrepreneurs in the past couple of years. So definitely that is a good move, which was not available maybe a decade back. So that is something of good. Now that brings me to the next point, which is point number 7. The next challenge area that most of the women faces, that women entrepreneurs, even once you set up your business, is the access to market. Of course, once you get the capital, once you get funded, imagine the heroine of our story, who is the cake baking lady. If she wants to scale up her business, she wants to manufacture, let's say, 500 cakes in a day and distribute to the entire city. Could be that is what we call a scaling, right? So let's say she wants to set up a manufacturing unit, and for which she applied for a loan, and she got a loan from a bank, and she has now set up the manufacturing unit. The next question is, how do you sell this 500 cakes? You can actually make 500 cakes in a day, but how do you sell this 500 cakes? That's where the access to market is still a challenge for most of the women. Now that's where, as an entrepreneur, you have to build upon your capabilities, as you have to work around how to market your cake, the profitability part of it, the pricing part of it, the branding part of it, how do you package it, everything comes into it. And the access, how do you promote it, how do you reach the customer, so which is the way you are going to sell this 500 cakes. So let's say you tie up with 50 bakeries in the city and give them 5 cakes each in a day, or maybe give them 10 cakes in a day to sell. And sometimes some of the bakeries may sell all 10 cakes, and some bakeries may sell just 2 cakes. So that means 8 of your cakes is a loss. So these are all issues, or these are all, I won't call it as issues, but these are all learnings that you will undergo, or rather you will learn how to expand your market, how to access your market, and for which, of course, as a women entrepreneur, you need to have a plan, you need to have a business acumen, or rather business model wherein you can actually reach out to these many people, and how you are reaching out. So it requires a lot of planning as well as action. Okay, so it is not just manufacturing cake, but when you enter into business, and that too in this kind of a scalable business, I would say it's all about strategy, it is all about building the market, it is all about networking, it is all about relationship building. So many different skill sets actually come into play. So access to market is still one challenge that most of the women entrepreneurs face. Even forget the 500 cake manufacturer, even a small scale women entrepreneur who is doing a home based business. For example, let's say you are good at making masalas, or maybe you are good at making a particular type of ornament. How do you sell it? In those days, earlier days, it has been very difficult. Probably you will go to the nearby shop and try to sell it. So in earlier days, probably you have a particular product made, you will go to the shop and maybe in the nearby shop and try to sell it. But nowadays you have wider options. You can actually sell it online. There are different online e-commerce platforms. In fact, my own organization, Prana Collective, has an e-commerce platform where we try to sell women-made products and small home-based businesses and their handicrafts and their products and services, which we are trying to list there and promote. So there are different opportunities for you to look at beyond your neighborhood. In fact, if the entire economy, the so-called local business economy, which even our Prime Minister is talking about, buy local, I would say if we can actually boost that by bringing them online, it could simply mean that we are going to, our economy, Indian economy itself will be boosted to a great extent. So bringing the women businesses to online is definitely a big opportunity. Now, the next point which I want to discuss today is, of course, once you bring the business online, the next level is to probably even scale up beyond. How do you scale up your business? And this is again a challenge as well as an opportunity. Most of the women entrepreneurs I find or I interact over here in our country, local small level business women, many of them are afraid to dream big and set bigger goals and scale up their business. It is like, I still remember a conversation with a woman who is actually doing, a small business of her own. She's running a boutique, and she says, she's quite happy running that because, she is making X amount of money in a month and she's happy doing that. So I was asking her, why don't you, set up more franchisees of your business or more, scale up your business? And she was like, no, I am satisfied with this. So this is the general mindset of many of the women, but again it is changing. As and more educated women are entering into business, they are coming up with a lot of aspirations and they are also trying to scale up their business, not just pan-India but also globally. So scaling, or rather dreaming big, having a long-term vision, these are all aspects that I would say every women entrepreneur should consider. Many of them do not think 10 years ahead. They only think about, okay, let me make some money this month, and if it is failing, then I will stop it next month. But entrepreneurship is not a sprint, it is a marathon, it is a long journey. You will have to actually plan for this long journey. So that is why, again, I will come back to the point which I said sometime before, which is choosing the business which makes you alive every single day of your life. You cannot choose something which doesn't create that passion in you when you think about it every single day. If you are actually trying to build a business just because my neighbor is doing, or maybe someone else somewhere did that and they are making a lot of money and let me just copy it. No, you cannot survive or you will not grow as an entrepreneur. So always choose a business which you will fall in love with every single day, and also have a long-term vision, have a scale-up plan, have a dream for yourself which will help you to scale up your business. Now, what are the challenges in scaling up? Basically, the number one challenge would be the access to capital and access to scale-up funds. When you are, for example, let's take the case of the 500 cake manufacturing baking unit itself. Imagine she is quite successful in selling all the 500 cakes per day. What happens to the next level? How does she scale up? Scaling up could be in multiple channels, multiple ways. Either she can have the similar model of 500 manufacturing unit in different cities. For example, in Kochi she is having, and then maybe she wants to do the same thing in Trivandrum, maybe she wants to do the same thing in Tamil Nadu, in different places. That is one type of scaling up. The other type of scaling up could be even enhancing her production itself. So maybe instead of 500 in that particular location, she wants to start making 2000 cakes. But she has to again analyze whether 2000 cakes, if I am able to make in my manufacturing unit, am I able to sell 2000 cakes within the city? So it's all a decision whether she is able to handle this kind of scaling. Now, if you are able to scale, let's say, in different cities, each of the city manufacturing 500 cakes, whether the kind of infrastructure, the kind of investment that is needed, how are you able to bring that? How are you able to convince an investor to put money into your business? So these are all, I would say, entrepreneurial competencies or capabilities that is expected in a women entrepreneur as we progress in her business. And there are very few women who actually have this kind of a large vision, and of course the moment they have that, they grow very big and they successfully scale up their business. So my point to all the women entrepreneurs out there is to start thinking big, start thinking about scaling your business once you are ready for it. I wouldn't say that you just start some business today and tomorrow you want to have a pan India, or maybe you want to have franchisees all over the world. Of course, unless you yourself are a seasoned entrepreneur, nobody will venture into that. So it's always good to start small, establish your foundation, and then scale up your business. So this requires a lot of, I would say, vision setting exercise or goal setting exercise for yourself as well as your team, and building a team which is ready to handle that kind of a scale is also a key aspect. And just to add on to the scale up point, when you want to really scale up, it is very important that you have a right mentor network or a right guidance and expert guidance from different kinds of people who can actually help you with the scale up plans. Because sometimes what we think as an entrepreneur may not be what the reality is. So it is always good to get some expert advices and also have good mentors for your business. Mentoring is a very, 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 very important function in any business, and even in my business I have a lot of mentors who help me whenever I am in doubt. In fact, the function or the role of a mentor is not when everything is going smooth, but when you actually face some difficulties, or when you face some confusions or doubts or fears, that's when the role of the mentors come into play. So always have a network of mentors who can help you with in your business. The next point, which is the 9th point which I wanted to discuss today, is about the awareness of your own rights. Okay, now why this is important, especially when it comes to a woman, is that women entrepreneurship, it is not just for women entrepreneurship, but as a woman, what are your rights and what are your potentials, and what are your responsibilities, everything. It is very important that you do not succumb to the societal expectations or issues that surround you. And you are also aware, awareness of rights also include awareness of opportunities. Many times, for example, I will share a case of a woman who was running a particular business, a small business, but after some time she when the business actually grew and started making a lot of money, the partners as well as her own family members, they started creating issues and rifts within the business, and finally what happened is that she had to lose her entire business as well as the entire stakes, because she was not aware of her certain rights and privileges as an entrepreneur. So basically, it is not just about setting a business. Be aware of what are your rights, what are your legal formalities that you should be very careful about. Having your own financial backup, having your own financial decision-making power, these are very important. In our country, I find that many of the businesses are, at least in paper terms, they are run by women. I mean, many businesses, they are started in the names of the wives or mothers, but actually run by men. So but that scenario should also change. Now, as a woman, if you are running the business, it is your business and it is your rights. You should be aware of that. Secondly, you should also be aware of what are the opportunities that the government and other, other ecosystems and other organizations provide you. You should always keep yourself updated about all the legal formalities or all the government bodies which are giving you certain privileges. For example, there are a lot of schemes and funding options which are actually floated from time to time by various government organizations. In fact, there are a lot of women specific startup funds and organizations which are supporting women. So go and try to grab those opportunities. Personally, I am somebody who actually goes and identifies these kinds of opportunities, and I try to also share with the Prana network which I have built over the period of time. My organization is also working towards bringing in more of these kinds of women rights, what are the privileges that women entrepreneurs should be having. I'm trying to bring in all that to the ecosystem. So the point what I'm trying to convey is very simple. We have many things available in the ecosystem. It's all about bringing together or being aware of your own rights and go and get it. Never feel shy or never feel that okay, I don't know whether I will get it or not. Just give it a try. Sometimes you may get it, and what's wrong in not giving a try? Many of the awards and recognitions sometimes I have received, or even the opportunities that I have received, is because I went and gave it a try. I applied for it. Many I have been rejected, but still I keep trying and keep applying many of the grants and funds and so many opportunities that come in front of me. I keep sending in proposals. When you send 100 proposals, sometimes only one gets selected, but it's okay. You have to keep on trying. That's how business works. So keep on trying and going ahead. That brings me to the last point of discussion for today, which is the rewards and recognitions. I think this is also one challenge that the women entrepreneurship ecosystem in our country faces. Even though there are a lot of women who are putting in effort in not just business but in various careers or in various be it economy, be it political, be it social, be it educational, whichever areas we find that women are doing a lot of things but they never get recognized. Of course, thankfully, of late we see a lot of recognition. Even in the mainstream media or in the movies, we find that women issues are getting highlighted. That is very awful. But maybe decades back, or even for many centuries, women's contribution to history, science, economics, education, politics, or even business have always been sidelined, or rather have never been noticed. So right recognition and rewards or approval by the society and the people around is also very important to give a conducive women entrepreneurship environment in our country. So let us have more awards and recognitions being given to women achievers, whomever we find, and I would suggest that more and more organizations actually consider this and start recognizing women leaders. Unless we have more and more women leaders in various walks of life, we cannot grow as a country. So with that, I think I've covered all the major points or 10 points which I wanted to convey today. I hope I made some sense in rather giving you certain ideas for thinking why women entrepreneurship in our country is still behind, and what are the aspects or what are the things that we can actually do to make it better. So generally, as a concluding note, what I wanted to say is that most of the women, when they start off trying to do a business or trying to establish themselves in a particular career, the challenges are not outside but inside. Most of the women, they find that they are unable to take a plunge into a career or an entrepreneurship because they think too much about the outcomes, and they get bogged down or they get bothered about what others will think, what others will say, whether I'm doing the right thing. But I would say once you keep aside all that and bring a clarity to your own thoughts, I'm sure if you are able to align a purpose to what you are trying to do, if you have a clarity of purpose, I would say your half the journey is done. the remaining, whatever challenge that you face, whatever I would say, whatever support that you need, you will get it from everywhere. As a concluding note, I would also like to share that women, I mean, not just women, I would say any kind of a business or entrepreneurship cannot be run alone, or it is not a single journey. It's like I do something and I make money and I just move forward. No, it doesn't work like that. It's all about bringing more people together, being in a conducive ecosystem, being part of various kinds of supportive organizations, or having, I would call this as having an inner peer circle, where you get a positivity circle. Form yourself, be a part of such positivity circles where you can share your ideas, and you can get support systems, or you can get, when you share an idea, you get 10 different ideas. That is the kind of positive ecosystem or positive circle that you should build for yourself. Unfortunately, in Kerala, we still have a lack of such kind of positive circles, because the moment you come up with an idea, all you get is, you are crazy, don't go for this, don't do that, don't do this, why don't you go for a government job, why don't you do that, why don't you do this. So all kinds of negative comments is what most of us hear, be it that is common for both men and women. But in the case of women, it also accompanies with other things which I mentioned earlier, which is like the stereotypical expectations, like if you go for this job, who will take care of your child? If you go for this, if you do this kind of a work, it is not good for our family, it is not matching to our culture. So these kinds of questions and suggestions and recommendations and everything you will find. But all this can be overcome if you as a person have a clarity about what you want to do in your life and how you want to impact the society in general. For me, my journey as an entrepreneur has been all about impact creation. I never looked at the money as just as a motivation. Money, for a real entrepreneur, I would say money just happens or flows in when you are actually working towards a purpose or a cause, or something, or trying to solve something which you want to really work on. So such people definitely become successful in their life, and not just being successful in their lives, but they also bring an impact and change the world they want to. So with those words, I conclude, and I thank Sivagiri TV once again for taking my insights and inputs for this year's Sivagiri THEERTHADANAM. I wish the organizers as well as all the audience who have been watching this a great THEERTHADANAM. And I also would invite, or rather I would like to take your attention to the whole perspectives towards women entrepreneurship, and see how you as a person can help a women entrepreneur in, even if it is a small thing. And the smallest thing that you can do, I would say, is to buy a product or a service from a women entrepreneur. It could be even buying a small thing, but that actually helps her to boost her confidence, and helps in promoting more and more women entrepreneurs in our country. Thank you once again. Namaskaram.